Let's talk about Watermark, formerly Aviso. Watermark is a student correspondence management, messaging, and student monitoring system that can be very useful in your day-to-day as both a faculty instructor and an advisor. So the easy way to launch Watermark is to use the quick links, and it will be the very first selection. And we will sign in using single sign-on with our same username and password for all of our other community college applications. And we see when the system launches, we have our dashboard before us. And of course, your dashboard will be customized to your semester. We can see that I have several courses in this current semester. The one that I'm going to use for demonstration is Linux Unix Administration 1. So one of the things that we can do with Watermark is to easily look at our entire class. So our roster will be right before us, and I can select every student on my roster really quickly by just clicking the box next to the word student. This way, I can either send a message or create an alert for the entire class as a whole. I probably wouldn't be creating an alert for the entire class, but let's look at the message. So when I click the message, I can easily type in some information that I would like the entire class to know about, perhaps a due date for an assignment or the closing date for an upcoming exam. What's really nice is that I can send it to both their institutional email and their personal email account to make the message really evident to the student. Just like in standard email, I can create a subject. So I could say upcoming assignment due date. And then rather than type names in, which would be onerous, I can use some tags or key markers. So under the student, we can see that we can automatically put in a tag for the student's first name, and then each message that goes out will be tailored for that individual student when they receive the message. And of course, I can type whatever my message is and whatever my standard closing, and then I am ready to go. I also have the opportunity to log that message. So if the student is the recipient of the message, then this message can be retained in their activity tabs. That could be useful for archival purposes. I can also create a note from the message, and notes are those items which are categorized in certain areas so that others or yourself can go back and easily find them. And these are some predefined areas that the department head of advising and others have established. So some of the popular ones are a change of grade, or perhaps an alert about an academic concern. By using these various note types, then others around the college can be made aware of your message and perhaps intervene on the student's behalf. You can see, you may have noticed, that there is a selection up here called template. And if I use the down arrow, I've actually created multiple templates. You can see that I have an advising request follow-up, a course engagement reminder, cyber program invitation, and others as well. So let's just select one of these for illustration purposes. I'm going to course engagement reminder. So we can see that the student's first name will be dropped in via the tag, and there is some boilerplate message here about the student being inactive for a given number of days in a given class. I could pull in that template and then edit it as necessary for the current class at hand, and that would alleviate me being creative every time to come up with new messaging. So I can save messages or create various messages as templates. I'm going to show that in just a minute. Once I have everything the way I like it, I can click send, and then my message will go to every single student on my roster as I had selected previously. You notice I can also attach files just like we do in an email. So if I have a PDF document or an image that I would like to attach to my note, I can do so. So working with the entire roster or particular students on the roster who need some intervention is one great use of Watermark. The second thing I'm going to talk to you about today is filters. So what is a filter, and how can you find or create filters? So I'm going to go to the student tab or page, and we can see that currently my caseload is showing. I can click everyone and I get a much longer list. Okay. And I can also see toward the top there is a moniker filters. There's also a plus sign, which we can see as I hover over, it is to add a filter. So a filter is nothing more than a routine or process that can take the given input list, in this case everyone, and filter it out based on conditions. I have some pre-made filters. Here's one called Veterans in IT. Let's take a look at it. So I'm going to click at the three dots and choose Edit. And we can see on the right-hand side the name of the filter, the fact that it is first sourcing everyone, and then there are various tags or conditions that I can add to that list of everyone to filter it down into a much smaller pool. So one of the tags that was available was veteran. I can also exclude certain individuals. I can look by demographics. And what I have chosen to add to this filter is degrees and programs. So I've looked for degrees that are the associate in applied science, and then I chose the 5 degree paths that are currently active. So IT business support, IT software and programming, IT system security, web development, and the IT mobile app developer concentration. I could include only certain registration terms. I think that I will modify this filter to include the 2022 fall semester and perhaps the 2023 spring semester. And that's the only other item that I've selected, is that their application status is completed. Now I can click the Save button, and the filter is now saved for use. I can click then that filter, and we can see that 8 people have been identified based on that selection criteria. So it allows you as a faculty advisor to quickly hone in on a specific group. So if you would like to create a filter from scratch, you can just hit the plus, and that filter dialog will come up on the right. Give the filter a name. I always choose everyone as the initial pool of individuals, and then just start with the criteria. I will mention a particular filter that I have created called risk of drop in my courses, and I find this to be useful to sort of keep my finger on the pulse of students that may not be engaging with the material. So again, I've chosen everyone as the initial pool of students, but what I have done is looked further down on the criteria list, and in this case, I again will want to put in the current semester, and I'll also want to put in the current courses that I'm teaching, and that would be the work-based learning and the Linux, Unix administration. And then the one other thing that I have called out is the last assignment submission. So I can choose a number of days, and if the student had not submitted an assignment in that window of days, the student would be called out in the filter. So I'm going to actually reduce my filter down to 6 days and see if there are any students which match that criteria. So let us, and yay, I am happy. So far, I do not have any students with a risk of drop. I typically run such a filter about once a week or once every 10 days to remind me who I need to be working especially hard with to motivate the student to engage with the coursework. The third item that I'd like to speak about today are those templates that were mentioned previously. And so I will direct your attention over to the far right of the screen. It looks like a little inbox, and that is the messages area. And in the messages area, we can see sent messages and our inbox, but we also have an area called templates. And here is that list of templates that came in the drop down previously in this discussion. And the plus sign will let us create a new message template. So here is where you can give your template a name, a descriptive name, and then just write boilerplate text as if you were writing an email, and then save that message so that later when you want to include correspondence to either one student or a group, that message will be pre-packaged. That's my hit parade of features in Watermark that will get you going using the tool. It is very, very useful and really helps to manage your various classes and keep students engaged and keep the conversation going. So thanks for listening.